Hello and welcome back to FD, where you have the pleasure of listening to me, Pete Dorman, call out some of the most overrated players in the world. If you disagree with any of these choices, then fight me. Or, just send me an angry tweet. Let's go. Goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris. Despite a few of you calling for Jordan Pickford on Twitter, the number one jersey has to go to Tottenham and France keeper Hugo Lloris. The 31-year-old may have been a staple for the Lily Whites since arriving in 2012, but how he consistently worms his way into the world's best keepers conversation is genuinely baffling. Now, to be fair to him, his stats this season aren't too far from the actual top keepers in the league, conceding just one more goal than the supernatural David De Gea and equalling Ederson's 2.1 shots per goal ratio. While this may make the simpler football fans believe that Lloris is actually comparable to the likes of De Gea, they really are leagues apart. To be considered as one of the best keepers in the world, you at the very least need to be able to catch a ball. Something that old Hugo has struggled with on more than one occasion, already having made 5 errors this season that have led to goals. In fact, over the last 4 seasons, his errors have caused 11 goals. That's 3 more than the formidable Simon Mignolet. From flapping crosses in no man's land to basically being Massimo Tayabi without the poo catchers, Lloris has always been susceptible to a howler. The worst of the bunch, however, has to be his idiotic 93rd minute dribble against Sweden last year, resulting in a 50-yarder from Ola Toivonen and a 2-1 Swedish win. Talk about world class. Defender, Dani Alves. At 34 years old, it's impressive that Dani Alves is still holding down a starting position in a team with the spending power of PSG, never mind being considered one of the best right backs in the world. But the reality is that his defensive output is actually minimal. This season he's averaging only 1 interception, 0.6 clearances and 0 blocks per game. Compare that to Carvajal, who's putting up 2 interceptions, 1.5 clearances and 0.5 blocks. But he earns his world's best accolade by being filthy going forward, right? Well, not quite. While he is undoubtedly a great asset going forward, racking up 6 assists and creating 41 chances for the Parisians this season, he's not the only right back who can contribute to attacks. Take Joshua Kimmich for example. With 10 assists and 49 chances created, the 23-year-old Bayern man has better attacking stats than Alves. The youngster also has better defensive stats across the board, with more interceptions, more blocks and more clearances. Yet FIFA 18 haven't even rated him in the top 10 right backs in the game. And while FIFA ratings aren't the definitive guide to go by, it is interesting to see how the gaming giants EA have ranked the players. Oh, and guess who's ranked at number 1? Defender, Gerard Pique. Gerard Pique pretty much has it all. 6 La Liga titles, 4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup and even a Premier League. Oh, and he's also married to Shakira. Result. But while his wife's hips don't lie, the Barcelona fans certainly do when they say he's one of the best defenders in history. Now, before you reach for the pitchforks and torches, we're not saying he's a bad defender. He's undoubtedly a class act. But to put him in the same category as Maldini, Baresi and Puyol, you're having a laugh. In reality, Pique is a parasite who is only good when paired with a world-class defender that does most of the heavy lifting, or at least covers the former United man when he recklessly ventures forward. Over the last decade, the no-frills defensive efforts of Puyol and Ramos have created the illusion of Pique being a complete defender for club and country. But now that the responsibility of leading the defensive line has fallen on Pique's shoulders, his shortcomings have been massively highlighted. Despite Barcelona having wrapped up La Liga this season, they're actually conceding over 2 more shots per game than 10th placed Eibar, while Sociedad, Getafe and Real all have given up less shots. Had Pique not had the outstanding efforts of Ter Stegen behind him, the season could have been completely different. Error-prone and nervous as a last defender, Pique couldn't hold a candle to Maldini. Defender, Johnny Evans. Joining the pride of Catalonia at the heart of defence is a bit of a niche shout in Johnny Evans. The 30-year-old has made a decent career from being an absolutely bog-standard Premier League centre-half, with his spell at Man United bringing him 3 Premier League titles and his time at West Brom doing the exact opposite. But there's been a couple of moments in his career where the Evans hype train was kicked into overdrive. In Manchester, Evans never managed to hold down a starting spot due to his massively inconsistent performances. But a purple patch in 2012 prompted then manager Sir Alex Ferguson to label Evans as the best centre-back in the country. Not Terry, not Company, not Ferdinand, Jonathan Evans. As if that wasn't bad enough, 2017 brought with it the most ridiculous Evans overhype of all, a £30 million transfer battle between United, Arsenal and odds-on favourite Manchester City. Despite the deal never going through, the fact City were willing to part with that amount of cash for a 30-year-old defender who is at best a rotation option is just mental. Defender, Victor Moses. Despite being utilised more on the right flank, we've shoehorned Victor Moses in at left back for this XI. The 27-year-old is currently enjoying a bit of a career renaissance at Chelsea, having gone from a failed winger to a respectable wing back. Since returning to Stamford Bridge after underwhelming loan spells at Liverpool, Stoke and West Ham, the Nigerian has been a mainstay in Conte's first team, making 57 appearances in the last 2 seasons, taking home a league title in that time as well. But this prolonged pitch time has led people not only to believe that he's a good enough wing back for title aspiring Chelsea, but also that he's one of the best in the league. But when you compare him to the actually decent fullbacks, his stats really don't add up. Kyle Walker creates more than double the number of chances than Moses does, and 3 times the assist. Even Ashley bloody Young has better stats, 5 times more interceptions and double the amount of chances created and key passes. Add to that the fact that Moses appeared in an advert for Samsung with Lionel Messi, CR7 and Wayne Rooney in 2013 and you realise the world has gone mad. Midfielder, N'Golo Kante. Another one that's likely to cause controversy, N'Golo Kante finds his way into this team despite being hugely successful over the past few seasons. The diminutive Frenchman has lifted the league title twice in the last 3 seasons, as well as being named as the Premier League Player of the Season, Players Player of the Season and in 2 Teams of the Season. He's basically picked up more bling than Lil Jon, and this success has largely been deserved. For the last 3 seasons he's brought to light the industrious side of the midfield, where interceptions, clearances and tackling reign supreme. This season, the 27-year-old has averaged around 5 tackles and interceptions per game, well above the chasing pack of Paul Pogba with 1 interception per game and Fernandinho with 1 tackle. But before all you Kante fanboys start kicking up a fuss, he is still overrated from the simple fact that he finished 8th in the 2017 Ballon d'Or rankings. Yes, he's had a couple of fantastic seasons, but does he deserve to finish above Harry Kane, who at the time of writing has scored 99 Premier League goals across the last 4 seasons? No, not at all. How about Lewandowski, who bagged over 40 goals in the 16-17 season, or David De Gea, who's been out of this world for the last 2 seasons at least? Kante is good, but 8th best player in the world? Nah, no chance. Midfielder, Jordan Henderson. Some of you may argue that Jordan Henderson isn't rated at all, but for the faithful Liverpool and England fans, this isn't necessarily the case. The centre mid, whose footballing talents can be described as limited at best, has somehow managed to wangle the captain's armband for both club and country, weaselling his way into an illustrious club containing the likes of Brian Robson, Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney. The reality, however, is that Henderson falls massively short of the bar set by his predecessors. Little more than a blunt instrument in the centre of the park, Henderson adds no creativity to attacks, is defensively questionable and lacks the general dominance of a top-class central midfielder. Matic, Fernandinho and Dyer have all made more tackles and interceptions than the England skipper this year, while maintaining better pass completion rates at the same time. If that's not enough to dispel the idiotic argument of him being a deep-lying playmaker because of his unbelievable long-range passing, then the fact that he's got 1 assist in a team that's averaging over 2 goals per Premier League game certainly does. To put that into context, West Brom's Gregor Krychowiak has had more attacking influence this season, and the Baggies have only scored 26 goals. Ultimately, he's built a lucrative career with his ability to offload the ball to more skillful players with 10-yard sideways passes, while collecting 100k a week and 38 England caps in the process. Mental when you consider the fact that Michael Carrick, perpetually labelled as the most underrated English centre mid, earned just 1 appearance for England at a major tournament. Throw in the fact that Henderson has won all other than a League Cup and you've got yourself an overrated player for sure. Midfielder, Paul Pogba. The Pogba saga has been a frustrating one for United fans, and while the Red Devils were all aboard the Pogbus when it arrived back in Manchester for a then world record fee, a turbulent 18 months has seen a shift in mood. Pretty much seen as the return of the prodigal son, Pogba was expected to come back into the Premier League, spank in 35-yard screamers, stick no-look 3 balls onto a plate for Ibra and Lukaku, and generally boss the shit out of the centre of the park. Unfortunately, things haven't quite gone to plan. The Frenchman's astounding talent is indisputable, and he has, on occasions, shown the league what he is capable of, scoring 3 and assisting 5 in his first 8 games. But this has been on a much too inconsistent basis, far too inconsistent to still be revered as one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the game. His desire to play attacking, attractive and showy football continually comes at the detriment of his defensive responsibilities, attempting 3 shots per game and creating 1.5 chances while averaging less than 1 tackle. And let's not forget the fact that he's lost his starting spot to youth prospect Scott McTominay on a number of occasions. Despite this, his stats are still pretty decent. In 21 appearances, he's bagged 5 goals and 9 assists and completed just under 3 dribbles per game. But £89 million should not buy you pretty decent. And yes, I know he scored 2 goals against City, but until he puts in performances like that consistently over a number of seasons, he simply won't justify the hype. Forward, Riyad Mahrez. Along with Vardy and Kante, Mahrez was an integral cog in the fairy tale 15-16 season that saw Leicester win the league by 10 points. And while Kante has moved on to pastures new, Mahrez is still shackled to a radiator in the East Midlands despite numerous attempts to escape. There is little question that Mahrez deserves a bigger club than the Foxes, but there is no hiding the fact that his stats have massively slipped over the past 2 years. In the 15-16 season he scored 17 goals, assisted 11 and created 2 chances per 90, but in the last 2 seasons combined he scored just 16 goals, assisted 12 and averaged 1.6 chances per 90. So it was clear to see that the ridiculous form he hit in 15-16 was unsustainable, a fact that the powers that be at Leicester don't seem to understand. Despite the dip in form, the club still view Mahrez as one of the best wingers in the league, shown most starkly when the 27-year-old tried to force a move in January. After handing in a second transfer request, potential suitors Man City were met with a ludicrous £90 million price tag for the Algerian. Especially nuts given the fact that he was being recruited as a temporary replacement for the then injured Sané. Even though the Neymar transfer inflated the entire market, a winger with the stats of Mahrez deserves nowhere near the cheese Leicester are demanding for him. Forward, Karim Benzema. Part of the Madrid team that has dominated the Champions League over the past 4 seasons, Benzema's trophy cabinet is extensive, including 6 league titles, 3 domestic cups and of course 3 Champions Leagues. But, like many who have enjoyed the spoils of playing for a dominant force on the continent, his success has hidden a multitude of sins. His stunning league form in 15-16 saw him record 24 goals and 7 assists in just 27 appearances, but that's the last time he was genuinely good. Since then he scored a total of 16 league goals in 2 seasons and has been an infuriating figure for Los Blancos fans. With Zidane unwilling to drop the 30-year-old, Benzema has featured in basically all of Real's big ties this season, to massively underwhelming effect. In the first leg of the Champions League clash against PSG, Benzema attempted just 1 shot, had 0 dribbles, 0 aerial duels and made just 2 tackles before being hooked in the 68th minute. With the Frenchman missing an open net from the middle of the box and failing to convert a header from within 6 yards, prompting Gary Lineker and a slew of others to slam the forward on social media. Forward, Alexis Sanchez. Cashing in a filthy £350,000 paycheck per week is the Premier League's top earner Alexis Sanchez. After months of trying, the mercenary finally managed to escape the death grip of Arsene Wenger and jump ship to United, but the grass isn't always greener. Living off the back of his ridiculous 16-17 season where he notched 24 goals and 11 assists, Sanchez has failed to hit the same heights this time round. Across the season he's contributed to just 9 goals and 6 assists in 27 appearances, and since joining the Red Devils he's netted just twice, and that includes a rebound off his missed penalty. But what's more concerning are his possession stats. During his United debut, he set a new record for turnovers, sacrificing possession 35 times in a single game. Now he does play a very direct game, completing 3.5 dribbles per game under Mourinho, so losing the ball more often is understandable. However, his current attacking output comes nowhere near the level needed to justify his turnover rate, his huge wages, or his massively inflated stature. Congratulations, you have put up with my accent for a full video. Well done. Why not click here for more great content or head over to AFD or 90+1 Facts, and don't forget to like and subscribe.